Um, our video that we're having today is to talk about world peace because we know we have the book World Peace, and right now we're working on the third edition of the book, which is going to be fantastic, and I hope everybody is going to read it, and whenever the book comes out, I'm going to let you know, but it's going to be fantastic. I can tell you that from now. So what peace, what is the meaning, just to give you an idea of what peace means? Because every single time we hear this word, it's kind of remote for us. When we hear it, we think it's something that is like a dream, like something that is not realistic, or we think it's something that can be realized by the power, or by the guns, using the nuclear arms or any other means. But there's none of that when in our World Peace celebration, because the understanding of life is missing. Is why the um, the the concept of the notion of World Peace celebration is not uh, taken by everybody. But before we get into details, we have to know that World Peace is already on, is already something that is realized. We cannot get into all these details to explain how we come up with the understanding that World Peace is already realized in a video like this, because it's too short. But in short, is already realized. But the best way to just explain it is to remove the idea that it's something that can be realized by a group of people, or some kind of convention, or a big kind of gathering, or it come a time where everybody agree in the whole world that this is world peace. We have to take that notion away, because life is a permanent motion. Life cannot be interrupted. Life is eternal and unlimited. These two qualifications are very critical to understand. When something is unlimited, there's no space, there's no shape, there's no form. When something is eternal, there's no time, there's no beginning, there's no end. It just is. So this is the notion that is very, very important to understand in terms of life. When we're talking about life, we're talking about something that does not have a beginning, does not have an end, does not have a location, does not have a shape, does not have form. Although our mind only can work with images, concepts, and principles. It's why we have a tendency to limit it, to give a shape, to give a form, to put things in time and divide, separate. But we have to get beyond our mind here to understand what we're talking about, to say that world peace is already here. And to get into the mode of celebrating world peace. We don't have to be distracted by the fact that we see our society at war. We've always been at war. Either it's open war or it's a cold war. That's not the point. That shouldn't be a distraction. Because there's a flower called lotus flower. The lotus flower has a very good scent. That flower has not only the beauty, but also a wonderful scent. But strangely, this flower grow out of the mud. You know, any place that is really dirty, Marrakech, you know, places that is really unbelievable where you can, you know, is very nasty. That's where the lotus flower grow, blossom. This is a typical example to let us know that regardless of what is happening, there's a beauty, there's a good scent that is emerging, and which is what? Our true nature. We have a chance more than anything to celebrate our true nature, regardless of individually or collectively all the difficulties, all the challenges in our daily life, moment after moment, that we're facing. So, with that understanding, we already free ourselves and we get beyond our mind, because our mind is too small. Our mind is part of life, but it's not life. So we don't have to be controlled by our mind, to be wrapped up, to be prisoner. We have to use our mind to understand, to celebrate world peace, not the other way around. It's why we're going to have, through the whole process that we're going to have now, for a while, we're going to have then to get into details, making sure that every one of us understand that we're celebrating world peace. At that moment, fear, worries, regret, doubt, guilt, all these other things are going to go away. Why? Because naturally we're going to get into the mode of celebrating world peace and understanding that world peace is not a concept, it's our true nature. It's not something that is given, it's not what we have, it's not what we do, it's not what our expectation that we have in life. It's just life, because it's life, is our true nature, is beyond words. Regardless what we're saying, we just pointing to something that is real, which is our true nature. But we can't really put it in words. We can only point it to who we really are. It's not, there's no way a word or a thought can understand or give the dimension of life, because life doesn't have any dimension. So we are really into celebrating world peace. And it's very, 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 very critical for us to understand this. And we're going to understand this as long as we all are together now, participating, reading the book, whenever the third version come out, reading the book, asking question, answering question, making some comment, giving other viewpoint. Everything is really in that activities. We're going to realize everything else is going to be working in the same direction, which is celebrating world peace. And that's how it works. It's not the other way. It's not an institution, it's not a religion, it's not a country, it's not a race, it's nothing but recognizing our true nature individually and collectively. Individually and collectively, just to remind ourselves that when we say individual, means something that is not separate, that is not divided. Because individual come from the radical called indivis, which is something that you cannot divide, which is unicity, which is, oneness. So, without going too much into that, it's just to give the idea that we have to begin to think as individual, as collectivity, instead of thinking as a person. Because when we think as a person, we are already divided. But when we think as an individual, we're not divided. We are oneness. Because there's no division in individuality. So it's very important to understand that the meaning, the fundamental, the radical meaning of all the words that we're using are just the vibration, the true vibration, the true nature of our life. So I'm very glad that we have that chance to come back, and we're gonna see next video that we're gonna do. It's gonna be, let's say, the next video that we're gonna do. We can give you the title. So next time we're gonna talk about it. It's gonna be on. Let's say we're going to talk about what in a bigger view of what oneness is. So that's going to be our next